Hello.
And we are live.
It's good morning. This is the building committee of the Mid-Continent Public Library. I'm Brent Schaldemeyer. I'm one of the co-chairs. This meeting is on YouTube. I'm going to ask the committee members when they discuss if they can just give their name so other people can understand who is speaking. We may recognize your voice, others may not. And actually, I see our colleague Joycelyn walking in at the moment. So we have a full committee, and this is an important meeting. And appreciate staff bringing us the information. We'll get formally down the roll call here in a minute. But the reason why it's important is that we really have three main building projects left. It's an open meeting. I had to unlock the door to let a board member in. Excuse me for the brief pause there. We on our I'm going to call it the Proposition L Capital Program. We have several different projects, and we're really down to three remaining projects, and two of them we're going to discuss today. One is Grand Valley, and we have a guaranteed maximum price. And we then also have some schematics for East Independence, which we want the building committee to see. And we have some general updates. This might be a little bit longer, but in some senses, it's an important meeting. We're joined in our room by our design team. And so it shows you how important it is, because when they show up, we know is that it's a significant conversation. And so if you have questions, understand is that they're available to answer our questions. So having said that, I'm going to ask Ellie to do a roll call.
Brent, Michael,
Here.
Joycelyn, here, John,
Here.
Dr. Pandolfi,
Here.
Michelle,
Here.
John.
As noted, full committee is here, and thanks for joining the full committee. The first item for consideration is the approval of the agenda. If somebody would make a motion, somebody make a second, we will consider it.
So move.
I second, Michael.
Second, Joycelyn.
All right, we have a motion in 2 seconds. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Any abstentions? Any nays? I did that out of order, but okay. We approve what we previously have done, and let's go create some new minutes. So the next item is approval of actually the May 11th, 2022 minutes. Give people a chance to take a look at them. Somebody want to make a motion on approval of the minutes?
So moved, John. This is the.
Okay, Joycelyn moved.
Second,
second?
Michael. Second,
Michael,
Michael.
second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Those abstaining? Minutes are approved. Thanks to staff. As somebody who takes minutes from meetings, sometimes it's a thankless job. So thanks for doing that. And now we're really down to the main order of business, so to speak, and it's Grand Valley. And there's some information in board docs, and I think we're going to pop it up on the screen. And I'm going to turn it over to staff to present for us.
And I'm going to let Jake walk us through this process and where we are and why we got to where we are.
Good morning, Jake Wimmer, Construction and Maintenance Director. We're going to talk about the Grand Valley Guaranteed Maximum Price. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, please. This is a quick picture of the current building, which we lease from the strip mall owner from that particular area. And then I want to move forward and show you what the future Grand Valley building looks like. It's approximately 1/8 of a mile. Let me make sure I get the directions right. South of where the current location is. So it's not very far away, but it's located in a nice little area. We bought the land from the city of Grand Valley. There's going to be a connection of a trail so that people can bike up to it. It's really a great location and it's right off of a main street as you come into the area, so it'll be easily reached. It's actually probably a little bit easier to get to this than it is to get to our old location because we won't have a bunch of different stores around the area, so there's less traffic in that mode. Okay, so the next slide. Here's what we're looking at. Our budget was originally 6.2 million. The guaranteed maximum price came in at $6,570,482, which is a difference of $370,482, about 5.976% if you want to round up. Now I'm going to walk you through where the issue came through. As I'm going to preface this with, North Oak was really our last GMP that came through with, and it even had a few small things that were COVID related, but North Oak was really our last issue that came through without any kind of an escalation or any kind of supply chain issues or issues related to the pandemic that we went through in 2020, 2021. So next slide. All right, Green Valley was originally 15,000 square feet. And because we realized that there's going to be some difficulties with the supply chain issues, with pricing, with different things that were going on, we moved to reduce the scope to 12,500 square feet to help us come in a little bit closer to what we had originally budgeted as a 6.2 million. I will say that our original budget for property acquisition, as I was speaking about earlier, was 750,000. And then we acquired the Green Valley property for 320,000, which gives us 430,000 for remaining savings. So I believe that should cover us pretty easily with the 370,000 that we're over. Would like to use that in a little bit different arena if we could have, but it's there. I think because we were able to strike a good deal with the help and support of the building committee and the board members with Green Valley, I think that really is coming through for us right now. So next slide. Construction materials have gone up about an average of 30% over the past 24 months. And materials typically account for 50% of the total project cost that we're looking at. And when you do the 30% increase of materials, that usually gives you about a 15% total project increase as you're looking at it. So even though we were thinking it was going to be closer to 12 or 13%, we were actually able to, through the help of our partners, J.E. Dunn and SAP, it was actually closer to 6%. I know they've worked really hard on this. I know that I pushed them pretty hard on this, and they've come through with what I think. Now I was hoping it would come in at 6.2. Don't get me wrong, and I was hoping to push it. But I feel that our partners have done a fantastic job. And when I go to this next slide, actually 2 slides forward, show you kind of a material escalation issue from North Oak to the Green Valley, I think you'll see where I'm coming from. Bid prices tend to lag behind the material and commodity prices. So again, that's why with North Oak, we were pretty fortunate with North Oak, but now we're kind of right in the thick of it. I am hoping, I'm going to put this out here for my partners to hear. I am hoping that we can get East Independence closer to 6.2 million, which is where the budget is. So, and hopefully we can learn a little bit from this area. And since it's a few months down the road, maybe there's some things that we can change. But the world is as the world is. And we've all faced it when we go to the grocery store, when we go to the gas station, prices are up. So that is something that I think we need to be thinking about when we come forward, but we're in good shape from a fiscal viewpoint. So we've been very fortunate in a lot of our property acquisition. We've actually come under the line, or in some cases, because we were able to work with some different vendors, we actually were able to swap or we stayed in the same spot. And that really helped a lot too. So we've made some decisions. I hope you can see that we're trying to be as fiscally prudent as possible, but there's a lot going on in the world, and supply chain issues, labor shortages, freight and losses incurred by the suppliers over the last couple of years. Those all exacerbate the pricing. Next slide. So from an escalation viewpoint, let me point out that for most of the program, most of the capital improvement program, since we started in 2018, we were pretty fortunate. We were only realizing about 1% a quarter. And sometimes it was a little less than that. But when we talked in January of 2022 about Green Valley, we showed you the chart where, you had the hyper escalation that we were looking into. We were assuming that it was going to be 2% for quarter one and 1.5% for quarter two, for about a 3.5% total as we were moving forward. Actual escalation for quarter one was 5%. Again, we all remember kind of January through March, it was pretty rough price wise, pretty rough gas wise. And then we also had a 3% for quarter two. So that's an 8% total. So we missed the mark by about 5%, but I don't know that anyone could have predicted that. Again, I want to reemphasize, we've been real fortunate throughout the bulk of our capital improvement plan. We've been able to slide by with about a 1%, and typically 4% is an escalation factor that you use when you do standard funding or estimating as you're moving forward. So we've been been below that quite a bit. So so a 5% delta of 6.2 million is approximately 310,000. So 6%, you can see where the 370,000 came from. All right, I'm going to stop there for a minute in case there's any questions. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to keep going on. I just want to make sure I'm not talking too fast. I've been digging into this pretty heavily, so sometimes I do tend to zoom through it, but I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that everybody's going with what I'm talking about. So these are the cost drivers that I was talking about earlier. North Oak versus Green Valley. And I asked Jay Dunn to pour through the bid, and I asked him, I said, hey, let's look at North Oak, which we knew was a little higher coming in, and let's compare those rates to our Green Valley bid. And what we had to do with that is we actually had to, because North Oak is a 17,000 square foot building. If we were to go with and dollarize it, that would be it'll be a little misleading because 17,000 versus 12,500. So what we did is we changed it to square foot. So we wanted to give you an idea of what the square foot looked like. And if we look at the carpentry and the millwork items, pretty big increase in that, 17.83 per square foot versus $19.13 for Green Valley. And that's just the start. We have this next one's a pretty significant. The roofing, the increase in the standing seam roof and the wall panel unit cost as we're building the roof, it went from $10.33 per square foot, which was pretty high. That actually much higher. I think our average on that is about $7 to $8 to $29.74. Really having a hard time sourcing some of the roofing materials. In fact, we were worried about Green Hills a while back ago. We were worried that the roofing might have some issues. We were fortunate; it didn't happen. But when it came right down to the wire with the Green Hills roof, which would have delayed the progress of it as we're going forward. Because without the roof, you're having a hard time doing your indoor work. So some glass costs.
Real hard time.
Especially since we've had a lot of rain. But moving forward, you can look at the glass costs have increased 40%, and we're actually realizing that not only in this new project, but we're realizing it. We've had a couple of issues with glass in several of our existing branches, and we're having a real hard time sourcing not only the glass, but also getting people out here to replace it. So if you happen to be driving around and you see some plywood over one of the branch's windows, please know I don't like that. That's not my fix. And it's the only reason why it's there is because it's taken an inordinate amount of time to get the glass. It's about 6 to 8 weeks. So it's which normally, you could get it done like a week, but it's just we're having a hard time sourcing and procuring glass. And unfortunately, a couple of our branches are paying for it because of some accidents and some things that have happened. So I want to put that little plug out there to let you know that I'm on it. I can only do what I can only do from a glass viewpoint, and then this only shows you go from $13.54 a square foot to $19.41 a square foot. HVAC lead time. A couple months ago, our J.E. Dunn partner sent me an email that said that the HVAC industry in general has basically put out an 18% increase on all HVAC equipment. So whether it be, it didn't matter who we would go with. The whole industry has apparently gotten together, and we're gonna increase this because we're having some issues. We're having some lead time issues. We're having some material issues. And so again, that went from $35.37 a square foot to $38.11 a square foot. And then the biggest one, this was the biggest surprise for me, electrical conduits, light fixtures, and additional site components jumped from $30.05 a square foot to $57.52 a square foot. Now, we're putting a lot of electrical in all of our new buildings. So unfortunately, that's really the biggest lump for us to swallow. But I mean, it's going to be as we go forward. I have great faith in our partners that the building is going to represent everything that we've had in the capital improvement program. It's going to be similar in scope to Withers, Eastleigh Summit, Colburn Road, Green Hills, North Oak, all of our new buildings. It's gonna look similar. And it's one of the reasons why I'm pushing for you to accept the small, the 5% increase and approve the GMP, because I don't want to take away from this building because we had the pandemic. And I mean, who could plan for the pandemic? I think we've done a really good job at running the program with your help. We've done an excellent job at streamlining some of the fiscal stuff. We've come in under in some of our projects, and we've come a little over in others, but man, we've got some beautiful buildings out there for the public. And so I'm really excited. I'm sorry that I have to come to you with this, but I am excited to move forward on this project. Next slide.
Before you go on, I had a real quick question. Are the tech costs included in that, like all the new wiring and all the infrastructure for the technology? Is that subsumed in those categories, or have they stayed the same, or are those also raising?
I'm sorry, which cost, Jocelyn?
All the new wiring for all the high-speed internet, all that things.
Yes, and that is in fact
escalating.
one of the big escalation parts.
Okay.
And the same question to John Laney, the same question on fixtures and furnishings. What has happened there? Is it the same type of thing? And if you considered that in this price?
So that's an excellent question. Yes, the fixtures and we actually have gone back and forth with our design partners on the fixtures. The original fixture that they presented was going to be too expensive, and so we've gone out. I pushed back and said, not only is this possibly a little bit of a maintenance issue, but it's going to be too high. So let's see what we can do. And so we've done that and gone back and come back with a little more of a cost easy fixture. And to answer your question shortly, yes, we have thought about that. Furniture has actually gone up a couple times in the last 2 years, but we're under the budget that we normally came in. So we've reused some furniture and of course, again, we just kind of modified for where the budget needs to be. But I will say, we're not doing it to the point where it's going to look different. I really want all of our projects to come in and look. I don't want someone to say, well, this is clearly at the end of the program. I don't want people to say that. And I don't think that's fair from a patron viewpoint either. So yes, to answer your question, John, I know it was a rather lengthy answer, but yes, we have taken that into
I'm
consideration.
sure that landscaping is also been considered and priced, and is that escalated, or has it stayed about the same, or where are we with landscaping?
I'm gonna ask Jim on this. I'm gonna speak first. Everything has escalated. Landscape, fortunately for us, because we've worked with the same basic people throughout the course of the program. I think they've got a pretty good idea of what we're looking for, so they know what they're dealing with, and that helps us from a price viewpoint. But Jim, am I missing anything on that?
No, I mean, generally everything is going up. Jake's accurate saying that. Have we included it? Yes, we've included it. We bid the project, we bid the schedule, right? We have all our trade partners bid the schedule. So if it is escalated, we've got it captured within the GMP.
Okay.
Yes, we're gonna have irrigation out there.
Yeah.
And yes.
Yes. That was my next question.
It may or may not have been your question, but we did not take it out as a scope change because to save money.
Just one point. I think as we're thinking through this discussion, we need to remember Green Valley doesn't start out as a zero cost for us as a library. We have maintenance, we have rent and we have upkeep and things for existing building that doesn't come to us, it goes to our landlord. So this, when we think of savings and cost savings, this will be a building that we own. And so whatever we do for this one will offset the rent that we were paying, so. And this went from being one of our smallest, the branch was
Yeah.
barely bigger than this room.
Yeah.
Up against railroad tracks to lease space within a shopping center to what we see now. What would be the difference in size between our rental facility and this one?
The rental facility is currently about 8,000 square feet, and we're going to 12,500 square feet. We've got 2 collab rooms in this, and there's going to be a community room, which we currently have in the rental space. But of course, because the size is bigger, we're going to have a nicer community room and of course, nicer collab rooms. They're going to be a little bit more finished. But from a square footage, you talk about 4,500 square feet that we're going to increase on it.
Right. And just to remind those online that might be watching, this is built, the agreement to build this was to build it in such a way that it can be expanded in the future if needed.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you, Joycelyn. That is something I did not add, but you are correct. The way we have it set out, the agreement is we're gonna build a 12,500 square foot building. And if capacity gets exceeded, we have the ability to come back in and add another 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. And it's good. And the way the building is designed, the way our designers designed it is, it's literally like we're gonna add on to this area, we're gonna knock out a wall, we're gonna add on to this area, and Brad, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but and then we're gonna have 3,000 to 5,000 more.
Wish it was that easy, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we've already sized the restrooms for that additional square footage, and we planned ahead for the electrical and got extra IT conduits to that area. So yeah, we've planned for that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, this is Yummy online. I have a question for you. Yeah, first of all, I just want to commend you. Just what a great presentation and showing us how you were able to work within the budget really just seems amazing. I guess my question is what things, how did you do it? How did you stay within the budget? Did you have to make a lot of other cuts? Like you were talking about fixtures, furniture. Is there anything else you had to make, like some really big cuts in order to meet the budget?
So if I understood you, Dr. Pandolfi, you're asking if we had to make any major cuts to get to this particular reign of the 6,300,000 and I'm sorry,
6.5.
And what I will tell you is, no, we did not make any significant cuts. What we ended up doing is our designers really came to the table for us, and they worked around some different areas. Structural steel was just going through the roof, so we went kind of a little bit of an alternate route there. But I'm going to turn it over to the designer in just a minute to clarify what I'm saying, because typically he speaks better to this than I do. But the bottom line is, and I want to say this for everyone in the room, when the terms value engineering come up in our conversations, my first statement is don't use those words. I don't like value engineering, never have, and I'm fortunate that we've got great partners who understand where I'm coming from and know that I'm not going to accept that for Mid-Continent Public Library. But they're the ones who have to go through the plans and everything. I'm going to turn this over to Brad. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brad McKenzie. So I'll just give you a couple of quick examples. One thing, Jake mentioned the cost of steel, and in a lot of the buildings we have big wide expanses of glass, and instead of doing a consistent big wide expanse of glass that requires additional steel support, we put multiple slightly smaller windows which require less steel. So that was just one simple move we made. We also changed the roof slope a little bit so that it goes to an exterior gutter and downspouts instead of interior roof drains. That kind of changes the aesthetic of the building a little bit, but we worked with that, save a little bit of money. And then we spent a lot of time working with J.E. Dunn just to look at materials. And the metal panels that we've used on some of the panels in the past used to be one of the most economical exterior skins you could do, and it's not anymore. So we had to try to find other materials that were still really good quality, no maintenance, that were within budget. So those are just a few examples. We just spent a lot of time trying to look at ways to be as efficient as we could without reducing quality, without changing any of the major systems, and just be as smart as possible.
And they spent a lot of time on this, Dr. Pandolfi. I mean, this took a little bit longer than our typical program does, but you can see the results in front of you. And I hope that answered your question, but if not, did that answer your question?
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, that did a lot. Thank you. Because as I was saying, like you did such a great job. It's like, I just was wondering, something had to come from somewhere. So I really appreciate you explaining that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is Brent Chalmers. I always want to commend. Time to me to let Michael lead. Commend our professional staff, but in some senses, I also want to congratulate the building committee because our insistency really around the land at a price we didn't think that we could get, and we were able to secure and also understand in anticipation of this, we reduced this from 15,000 to 12,500. Because if we had a bid that was in here at the 15,000 square feet, we would all be putting our heads down on the table, and we would going back and telling our design team to go back and redesign it, and the project would have been slowed down. And so in our anticipatory sort of move, in some senses, we have a cost that I think is manageable, and I hope that we will support, because if we'd gone with our original program, we would have slowed ourselves down. We would have been disappointed with what it is that we saw. And frankly, we would have seen the full impact of what it is that these cost escalations are. So.
And to add to what you were saying, Brent, part of that forethought from the committee was based on the fact that population projections did not match what was anticipated. So it's not that we're cutting costs really to cut costs, we're right sizing the building again with the ability to expand if the population matches.
And I looked while we were here, actually, the population growth in Green Valley has increased by 13% in the last, decade. So this is a growing area. This is one of the more growing areas of our library district. And honestly, to Joycelyn's earlier point, we've underserved that community with what it is that we have offered. So when you go from 8,000 square feet to the 12,500, it's just a properly sized building for where it is that the community is today. And we designed it with the anticipation if it needs to be expanded in the future that we can. Brad, I'm impressed by the notion is, well, let's cluster the electrical and pre-build or create the node for when we need to do the expansion. Because we always think that renovation is just easy, you just plop it on and it doesn't really anticipate all the mechanical things that need to be in proper places and things like that. So I'm just, I want to commend you once again and tell you how impressed I am with what it is that you brought to us today. So.
And one more thing that came to my mind as you were having this discussion is that we've also gotten a lot smarter with how we design our buildings.
Right.
And having this new building and the way we put everything in, we're actually going to be able to get just as much collection as we're going to reduce it a little bit, but we're going to have a great part of our collection. But we're also going to have great spaces for people to come and sit and read. We've got reading spaces. We've got some children's space. So we're improving what it looks like, and we're doing it in a smart way.
We can interrupt your presentation. So
that's all right.
I know
that's great.
I know Michelle needs to get off at some point. So if you want to go through the remaining slides here, and then I'm hoping I'm hoping Michelle can hang with us so that we can have a vote on.
So I got two more slides.
Okay.
So this particular slide is just a snippet of the July 19th board meeting packet that you got. I've circled where what we're looking at, 17.8 million. And then I did a little bit of math. Next slide, please. And I went and said, okay, so we've got 17.8 million. Grand Valley GMP is 6.5. East Independence budget is 6.2. Take that out, that gives us 5.1 remaining soft costs, additional costs, everything that's going with the program. Because we have to remember that the construction cost is a part of it, but we also have to pay our partners and, you know, other stuff. They like it. So, but it still leaves you, what I'm showing here is it still leaves us a good portion of that for the next program. And I also put a little blurb there that Riverside, because of the scope change, we moved it out of the capital improvement plan and it is a separate entity, but we are working on it as we're going forward. And that is my last slide. And now I'll stop again for questions. I really appreciate your time. This has been a fairly stressful couple of weeks. I want to thank Judy Dunn and I want to thank SAP. We couldn't have done it without them. They really came to the table on this. I was expecting it to be higher. But I'm very glad that it's not. So.
Brent Schoenemeyer, is there any other questions? Ellie, can you go back to slide 13? There's a written motion that we hope that the building committee could. And the number in the motion is the number of this guaranteed maximum price.
Yes, sir.
Any discussions in the room? Any questions? Any questions from our colleagues online? Does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a recommendation from the building committee to the full board to accept work package 9, Green Valley for the total guaranteed maximum price, $6,570,482 to be paid from the capital projects fund, and approval authorizing staff to draft a notice to proceed.
Is there a second?
Yeah, Michael, I'll second it.
Any further discussion? It's the moment of truth here. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any noes? Any abstentions? It appears that the motion passed unanimously. As a reminder, we asked the board if we could have a special online meeting on August 2nd so that we could take advantage of the construction market and the prices that we have. So as a reminder, Michelle, thanks for hanging in there for this particular sort of vote. So thank you. Thanks again once for the information and actually the presentation, because it helps us understand just what an excellent thing this is going to be for the library system in the community of Green Valley. So
Can I make a suggestion? Can we send this link out to the full board so that people who have questions before
yes,
the online vote can hear the presentation and get their questions answered?
yes. Well, we can send the YouTube link and the segment, and we can also send the slides. And thank you. That's a helpful sort of suggestion. So our next item is schematics for East Independence. And so I'm going to turn this over to.
So it's the
It's the lease.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's have a lease so we can stay where we are till we build what we just thought about building. Okay.
Since we were getting ready to talk about the GMP for Green Valley, we decided we needed to talk about the lease for the current building. You did see a picture at the beginning of Jake's slides of where we are now. That lease is actually up on March 2023. We are wanting to go ahead and talk to the owner of the strip mall to see if that we can extend that. And originally, in my conversations with Jake, we thought it was going to take longer to build Green Valley than expected, pending next week's vote to go ahead and go with the full board. What we'd like to do, originally I was going to ask for a 12-month lease extension from the board in order to do this, but I think in light of possibly being done towards the end of the summer of 2023. I would like to go back with the board's permission to negotiate a month-by-month lease, so we don't have to pay for a full year, and see if that gives us plenty of time to do that. That way we're not locked in paying for 12 months if we only need, 6 or 8 months. We have been in that building since 2013. As you've already heard, it's an 8,000 square foot building. Our current lease rate is $3,500 a month. And periodically we are also paying for common area maintenance. That's kind of hit or miss. I talked with Quan. We don't know when that's coming or if it's coming. That's $1,800. And in the 8 or 9 years that 7 or 8 years, 9 years we've been there, we've only been charged that once. So I don't know that's going to happen again. So that is what I bring to you today, to see if we can take to the full board that we can negotiate a month-by-month lease so that we don't have to suddenly move out in March.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, Michael, I moved to do that very thing month by month.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
This is yummy. My vote is yes. I just didn't unmute in time. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm back to anybody opposed? Anybody wanting to abstain? Okay. And that approved, and we will bring that at the Tuesday meeting as well, because of related matters. And so,
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Sorry to have jumped ahead and kicked us out without a lease. So now we're down to item 6.1, which is the schematics for East Independence.
And Jake has a few pictures just to share with the building committee on what this might look like.
All right, let's go ahead into the first one. I'm going to talk a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brad, the designer, to go into a little bit greater detail. I want to say, wow, I love the way this schematic drawing looks. I love the entrance. This particular location is off of Blue Parkway. I tell people, hey, when you're traveling east on Highway 70, if you go to exit 17 and you take a right, you're going to go down the street like 3 blocks and left, and there's the new library. Woo! I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited because it's a great location. There's a lot of things around it. You've got retail, you've got medical, you've got senior living, you've got apartments, and this is what they're going to see when they come in. I'm going to turn it over to Brad for some more specifics, but I'm super excited about it. I think this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it as well. So I'll be pretty brief on this. One of the things that we looked at this site is it's a fairly flat site. Utilities are all close. So from a cost perspective, we think some of the site development is going to be less than what we faced at Green Valley. So that's a plus. But the site is a little bit recessed from the road. So one of the things we wanted to do is create something that kind of would shine and be a bit of a beacon so people could recognize it. So we kind of ended up going to this campfire lantern type theme, and you can see that it kind of glows on that north facade that faces Blue Parkway. There's going to be some slots in the wall with some windows in it to add a little bit more interest and visuals to it. So this is a pretty dynamic image, but what we've really tried to do is keep the bulk of the building extremely simple. It's just a rectangle. And then we have just canted this one wall and made it a little bit taller. So we're trying to make sure that where we put our bang for our buck is all right here at the entrance and what you see. Interior is going to be the same finishes and features that we have in all of the other branches. This will be the same size as Green Valley at 12.5. We have laid this out on the site so that future expansion is going to be possible. So we're keeping that in mind as well. And again, sizing the bathrooms for potential future expansion. So that's a big overview. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you guys have about this.
Do you have any, John Lady, do you have any other slides showing the view from the west. I think
Could you go one more slide there, Ellie?
So these are some images we put together. The one at the top is an elevation looking at that north side from Little Blue. It just kind of shows the shape of the building. We're going to have a vertical siding on that side. And on the far right side of that elevation, you can see there's kind of a little screen area. There's going to be an outdoor seating area behind that. And then the middle is the east elevation, and it just shows what you see from Heartland as you're approaching the building, get ready to turn into the parking lot. And then the bottom one was a section to just kind of show how the site drops down and the visual, and kind of help explain the idea of popping up that front to give some visibility from Little Blue and from that intersection.
Are there any possible issues with water, considering how much rain we get?
Yeah, good question.
In Missouri?
There really shouldn't be. There's actually a drainage way just to the south side of this property. That area has been pretty well developed. It looks like the developer of the property had already developed this for another set of senior housing or apartments. So that stuff's been considered, but no, based on the topography we have, and there should not be any issues with water. Yeah.
What happened to the Y?
It's there.
It's there, it's on the
screen.
screen.
Yeah, I know, but I don't see it. Would you see it actually built?
Yeah, so I had YMCA in my mind. I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
why? So yeah,
I like this Libra.
those letters they have black on the sides of them and then white on the face, and then they light up at night. And we've actually developed this a little bit further since this image as well. So it's a little bit different, and we'll be getting some updated images out, I think next week. So
This is Joyce. I think the architecture matches the area pretty well. It'll fit right in, and I think it's an impressive view when you approach it without being crazy. But yeah.
well, that was one of the big considerations. Really, every site we look at, we try to look at the context and what's around it and how it relates to the traffic flow and other buildings. This one, there's going to be some neat outdoor spaces to take advantage of here too. So we're pretty excited about this one.
The trees that are shown there, are they existing trees? I can't remember what that.
Yeah, the whole south side is covered with trees. Our landscape architect has been out there to look at them. There's a little bit of scrub out there that we're probably going to clean up, but there are a lot of trees, a lot of vegetation along there. So we'll keep that pretty green.
Okay, so the parking lots will be sort of conventionally landscaped with trees and low landscaping and
Correct.
and irrigation, right?
Yep. And there's you can kind of see in that bottom section where the pink area is, that's Little Blue, and there's a kind of a dark blob on the left side of that. There's actually a row of trees along Little Blue that are by the city. So it kind of creates a nice little landscaped area there, but you can see the building through the trees. It's going to be pretty neat. This site had a little bit of a challenge to it, but I think that this is going to turn out really nice.
Any questions online?
No, it's Michael. It looks really great. Really, really nice.
Thank you.
Brent?
Yes.
Brent, good morning. This is Ron. I just have a question. As one enters the proposed building to the right, is the facade brick?
I don't think.
This facade white.
Brick, I think he said.
The left part that's dark is all brick. And then the vertical part that's more of a tan is it's a composite material that looks kind of looks similar to wood, but then the bulk of the box of the building is brick.
Okay, thank you. The second question is at the bottom representation, is that to scale?
It is to scale, but it was taken from preliminary GIS contours, not from the actual survey. So there may be some subtle differences in the actual elevation, but it's pretty close.
Okay, the only reason I was asking is that if there's a representation of the parking area to the far right, below representations of cars, the pink area.
That's not the parking area, that's Little Blue Parkway.
Okay, I got you, good, okay. Yeah, that's my concern in terms of the distance from the parking area to access.
Yeah, if you look at the middle, if you look at that middle image, the parking would be basically in the foreground of that middle image.
Perfect.
So it's between the building and Heartland.
Good.
Brent Chalmers, is there a drive-through?
There is.
And actually, I failed to ask this on Green Valley. Is there a drive-through?
There is, yes.
So-
And Riverside will also have one.
We've worked up a standard set of questions. Does it have irrigation?
It has irrigation.
Does it have a drive-through?
It has a trash enclosure.
Can you expand it?
And can you expand?
And you can't, now, we won't be able to say that at Riverside, but yes, you can expand here.
All right.
I had a quick question. You mentioned that the developer of this area was had prepared it for senior housing. Who do you see the neighbors of this being eventually?
That was just an assumption we made based on what it looked like, because there is some adjacent senior housing and some adjacent apartments. And then there's also kind of behind it, there's a trailer park. And then down the road, there's a lot more other residential. So there's a pretty good mix of residential areas around this site.
Children's Mercy Hospital has a facility there also, a midlife facility.
Yeah.
And is this bike accessible? And will we have bike racks?
There, we will have bike racks, yes, and there are some sidewalks. I don't know if Little Blue has a bike lane or not.
It doesn't have a bike lane itself, but as someone who's, and I forgot what the trail called, I apologize. It's
Trace.
15.
Yeah.
Little bit trace.
All right, so you can get to this by the sidewalk. You probably don't want to, but you could, because the sidewalk comes all the way down Hidden Valley. And then you can go around or go across the street, and then you go up the sidewalk again to the, so it's very well, we're pretty fortunate. I think this is one of the last developments in the area to be put up. And there are sidewalks. It's walkable from 40 Highway. If you're at the car wash and you want to come up and walk up to, you can do that. I'm not saying you will, but you could. And so there, it's pretty well developed in there.
Any further questions? Just as a reminder, this is a new service location. And so this is a new building. Curiously, our projects have landed a lot with proximity to trails. You know, I don't know that we went into that, but when you go back and think through all the building program, many of them have access to green space and pretty easy access to trails, which is an unusual development in what we've done. So thank you for that. Any other further questions? If somebody has their agenda.
Okay, yep. The next is just an update on Riverside, just so you know that the purchase agreement and sale agreements have all been signed and turned in. And so we are moving forward with that.
Okay, any questions on the Riverside? Okay, we're now down to Story Center finishes, and I'm going to turn it over to staff.
To fully finish the Story Center space, there's a few things that still need to be done on the inside of the house. There's some acoustic treatment for the studio area. There's some donor recognition, some lighting, some signage, a piano cover. Those are all in board docs, so you can see the list of that. The reason we are bringing it to the building committee and then in September to the full board is because it is an unbudgeted item. But despite it being unbudgeted, this money would be paid for by donations. It is not coming from taxpayer dollars. So we have continued, we always said that we wouldn't pay for the house using taxpayer dollars, and we are not doing the inside either. Diana Ryder and her folks have done a phenomenal job fundraising for this, for the house and all of the furnishings inside. We just, because it's not budgeted, even though it's paid for by donor money, we are bringing it to you anyway. It's going to cost between $54,000 and $55,000 to complete it. We do have a bid for the acoustic treatment. However, because it wasn't completed by July 1, because of some other, supply chain issues, they're still are also impacting this. It seems to be impacting everything. It may be a little bit more than what the actual bid came in at. So we are asking the committee and then the full board to approve expenditures not to exceed $55,000 to complete this, and then we will be done. And the motion is on the screen.
So I want to make a motion.
Yeah, Michael, I move to make a motion on this particular recommendation.
I'm going to take your motion to be what I'm reading on the screen, Michael.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I second the motion, John.
All right. Any further discussion?
I just want to ask one more time to make sure that the $55,000 plus any extra that might occur because of issues with delivery is covered by grants and not.
It's actually covered by donations.
Yes.
So yes.
Grants or
Grants or donations. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is yummy. Do you think that needs to be written in this recommendation? I guess I'm asking, Michael or Brent, should we have that in the wording?
Yeah, Yummy, we'll take that as a friendly amendment.
That's fine.
It's the staff intent, and so we'll.
Well, I'm just thinking if we're
Sure.
sending this to the full board,
Yeah.
just so clear,
Sure.
they may
Yeah.
appreciate that.
It's a friendly amendment, so we'll just take that and modify that, and
We
What do
can add not to exceed $55,000 to be paid for through grants and donations.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
There's consensus on that, and so I'm going to say that's what the motion now is. And so, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All those abstaining. The chair says that the motion carries. I might be speaking in error, and staff can correct me, but I think we've raised $3 million really around this project or thereabouts. And so in some ways, when some of us came onto the board, there was no fund development activity. And so when you look at Woodneath, it shows really what it is that we built as an organizational capacity. So.
Yeah, I don't know if Diana's online, but I think it's closer to 4 million in total.
Yeah, she would know the exact number.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's closer to 4 than it is to 3.
Okay.
They've done a phenomenal job.
And they're going to go look for another 55,000. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Thanks for that. Bringing that before us. Next item is the capital plan review audit. If folks are okay, I'm happy to maybe share this or discuss this. This is really kind of the conversation we had at the full board meeting, the interaction between myself and Gordon Cook, the chair of the finance committee, a desire to go back and look at the entirety of the building program that we have had with specialized outside, talent, if you could put it that way. And, the question sort of came, would there be a benefit in doing it? The discussion really around accountability and transparency. The conversation might seem fussy a little bit, but in some senses, I think the desire is that how do we do this? This is my view here. How do we do this that isn't disruptive to the ongoing projects that we have, because we really want to press ahead and complete those. And so what we want to do, I committed at the board meeting that we would discuss this at the building committee meeting, see if there was any other further considerations by the building committee members, go back to the finance committee meeting. If there was support there and support by the board, the result of this would there be a development of an RFQ by the staff. The RFQ then would go out, firms would come back. We don't know what the cost might be. That's currently an unbudgeted item. So if we proceed with this, it's important to understand is that it will be months before this activity would even start. And it would be further months beyond that before we would get results that would come back. I want to be clear with you is that I've talked with our staff about this because in some senses, they're going flat out and asking them to do something else is in some senses because this can only be done with the time and assistance and cooperation and support.
That's an annual reset. Supply chain issues. We're waiting for parts for the fire panel. So
Okay.
it'll shut off here in a minute. It runs for about 60 seconds. Sorry.
We'll just wait.
Pleasant silence.
And it interrupts it every day at 10 o'clock.
There we go.
All right. So, I've talked with staff, about this. And so in some senses, they are supportive of this and willing to do this. It's, in some cases, the question is the timing of it, some clarity really around the scope of work, because it would be, we would be ill-served if we engaged somebody to do this and we were unclear about what we wanted to learn and what we would get around the outcome. So this is not a determinative vote. It's a vote to sort of say, well, let's get ourselves organized in order to sort of go out there and engage specialized outside staff to undergage this comprehensive review. Understand it would be a comprehensive review of the work to date because the capital program would still be underway when the work began, but we would probably be 90% through it, if not more. So it would be the bulk of the program. So that's my commentary really on what the motion is in front of us. And so I'm going to ask if there's any questions from committee members.
John, just a comment. I understand that there are some on the board who believe that this kind of independent review is necessary. I'm one that thinks perhaps it is not necessary because I believe that all the transactions related to the capital plan have been carefully done. And I don't think that this will produce a lot of new information. But having said that, I understand that there's some that don't hold that view entirely, perhaps. And so if it makes people on the board feel more comfortable to proceed with this, I would be in favor of it. But a lot of that depends on the cost and the scope of the work. If it's a sort of forensic review, the cost could be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. If the costs were to come back in hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would be totally against it. But I just wanted to make that clear that I would support this, but I am very concerned about the scope, that it be appropriate and that we not dedicate hundreds of thousands of dollars to this review.
Any further discussion? Yummy?
This is Yummy. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I do agree with what John is saying that about the price. We can't just vote on this unless we have some idea of the price. But I also feel that it seems like everything has just been above and beyond with the building project. But because it is such a large sum of money, I do think we need to go that little extra step just to be accountable so the taxpayers know that we have really we've overseen this the best that we can, and we've brought in someone else outside of staff, not that they have done anything wrong, but just it's not just the staff, just an outside expert to just verify everything that we have done that correctly. So I think it really is a good thing to do. But as John was saying, I do think we can't just say we're just gonna do this with a open budget.
This is Susan, just to speak to that a little bit, Yummy, and to John as well. The RFQ part of that will be a cost analysis, what it's going to cost. And because it's unbudgeted, staff would bring it back as a proposal to the full board, well, to the finance committee, and then the finance committee would take it to the full board. So we're not going to actually know the cost until the RFQ is written and sent out and received back. But regardless of what that dollar amount is, whether it's, a few $1,000s or a few $100,000, it would have to come back to the full board for a vote anyway. So you do get another chance, or another opportunity to decide whether or not to go forward or not.
Okay, yeah, that clears it up, Susan. I missed that part, so thank you. That
You're
sounds
welcome.
good.
Yeah, actually, there would be three steps. The finance committee would have to recommend it to the full board. The full board would then have to approve the issuing of the RFQ, request for qualifications. Staff would develop it. They would get proposals back. The responses would come back to the board, and then at that point. So this is a conversation, a board decision, a policy decision that we will have 2 or 3 different steps before we would proceed.
This step, then if you're amenable to an RFQ, it'll go back to the finance committee. They will discuss it. Then it goes to the full board. If the full board approves us issuing an RFQ, at that point, we will do that. And then it will come back to the finance committee to review whatever the proposals that we received. And then it goes back to the full board. So this is not a quick process, and it will take a little while to do. So there's several votes in there before we get to the actual work.
Any further discussion? I want to share with you, was actually invited Gordon Cook to join us today for this portion of the agenda. Any board member or any member of the public is open to any of these meetings. He had a conflict because he had a meeting with a client at that time. And I basically shared with him that we would take this up and basically have the conversation that we had, which was similar to what we had at the full board meeting. So without any further discussion, somebody want to make a motion?
Sure, this is Yummy. I'll make that motion.
Okay. I'm going to say that motion is the one that I'm reading on the screen there.
This is Ron, so a second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? All those abstaining? The motion carries. Thank you for that. And then we're down to the capital dashboard. Turn it over to staff.
And I'm going to turn it over to Jake to go ahead and walk us through what he's doing.
Okay, so here's the billing committee dashboard. I've updated, kind of cleaned it up a little bit. Put some extra totals down there so that everyone could see what we were talking about earlier. We're basically through several of our programs. We're looking to close out 11 and 8 shortly. We're still working on that. And then, of course, Green Hills, which I'm going to discuss a little bit more, is rapidly coming to a conclusion as well. So next slide. Okay, so last month, big event we had last month, we reopened Lee's Summit. We rededicated it on the 30th of June. It was a great ceremony. It was a great event. Some happy stuff, some sad stuff. But the bottom line is that branch, which was our #1 circulation branch, is now, and I will tell you that the branch manager has already thrown down the gauntlet to the road and said that they're going to catch up very shortly and go get back into the circ. And every time I drive by it, it looks like the parking lot's fairly full. Lots of traffic. It was It's a great looking building. And one of my favorite things about this building is now you know, without a doubt, when you're driving by on Highway 50, there's a library there. I think the design team and the J.E. Dunn did a great job putting that building and just doing a complete makeover of it. It also has a drive-through. It didn't have before. So that's cool. Very good job. Next slide. So this month, we are, as I alluded to earlier, we did the Green Hills indoor substantial completion. And we completed that on the 7th of this month. And then we also got a temporary occupancy, which was very important because without a temporary occupancy, we can't move any books in. So we are at the point right now where we are finishing up, and the pictures will show this as well. We still have a bit to do on the outside. We're not finished on the outside, but on the inside, we are jamming. We've got the shelves up. Books we're starting to be moved in yesterday. We are really pushing to get this library open to the public because we understand that there is not any services up there because of the other construction that happened, unfortunately. And we had some issues with that, but very excited about it. The next slide will show you when we're talking about from a date, I believe, but also the Riverside closing. I'm sorry, can you go back one? I jumped ahead of myself. I get excited about Green Hills because it's just going to be this awesome library, and it's going to be this whole new concept of the culinary, and it's going to have a fork. But anyway, I think that's cool. I'm hoping people from miles around to take a picture in front of the fork and then go check out the library. How cool is that? So anyway, the Riverside purchase closing, as Susan had talked about a little bit earlier, we actually did close on that on the 26th. And so we're just rolling right along with that project as well. And we're in the process of our East Independence due diligence. I just got yesterday, in fact, I got the title and some issues with that as well. So we're rolling right along with that with the East Independence swap with us and Lane Ford. So now next slide. Soft opening, 23rd of August. That's what we're shooting for. I believe we're going to make it. My partners in crime, the facilities and the branch and the ADPS, they all think that this is going to happen, and I believe them. And so wow, I mean, in less than a month, we're going to have that library open. Now, little caveat, just the library. The kitchen part, we're still working on that. We're still doing some things. There's some permitting. There's some issues. So that's probably not going to be for a month or so. But then the whole library will be open and operational. We'll be doing the culinary concept and the whole 9 yards. So and then the East Independence swap closing, I believe, is set for the end of the month. I may be rushing that one. It might be September, but I'm pushing for the end of next month so that we're basically done with our property acquisition. Once we complete the East Independence swap, we're done with property acquisition for the capital improvement plan. And thanks to you, the building committee, to the members, to all your diligence and your hard work, we're almost there. And I'm very appreciative of everything you've done, of all your support. We couldn't have done it without you. And I believe that is the last part of that. So we do have some pictures. As promised, you can see on the upper left and the upper right, that is where they're working on the right-hand turn lane. With the left-hand turn lane. Right? Yeah, right-hand turn lane to come into the ranch. They're coming along with that quite successfully. The middle view, the very middle one, is what you will see as you come in the north entrance, which is probably going to be the main entrance, to drive up to the Green Hills Library. And the lower left is the back of the building where a lot of the kitchen, the incubator folks and other staff will work at. The lower right is, if you look at that, where that truck is, the back end, that's where the fork's going to be. 20 foot, by the way. I don't have a date yet as to when it's coming in, but I've been promised it's going to be the first week of August. I will let you know. I will give you all the notice you want if you want to come in and watch the fort get planted, so to speak. It's going to be.
It'll be done.
Yeah.
Is it
And, I'm sorry,
is
go
it
ahead.
a silver fork or a gold fork?
It is silver.
Yes.
Silver.
It's going to be, and the staff has already named it.
They named it.
They named it.
They've named the fork Tiny. T-I-N-E-Y.
There it is.
So the staff's really excited about it too. They're working full up on it. Last picture here in the lower middle, that's the drive-through. So the drive-through will come from the north and then they'll go out the south end. So next slide. These are some interior shots. Upper left is the cafe. We've got this nice little, I call it a mobile, but that's probably not the right architectural term. But it's a bunch of coffee cups. It's pretty neat. It diffuses the light. You can see it from the road. It's pretty awesome. I use awesome and cool a lot today because I'm pretty excited about this branch coming open. I'm excited about all of our branches coming open, but this one has been a long road to get it to where we are right now. And all that work is culminating into this. And you can see on the upper right, you can see that's the actual library space. That little green thing there in the background is the hearth area. Then the lower right is the kids area with some fruit to play in, because who doesn't like fruit? And then the lower left is the teaching kitchen. So one more slide for pictures. North Oak. We've gotten a couple comments from the public about, hey, it doesn't look like you're doing anything. And I can kind of, I get where they're coming from. We have to remember the history of this branch. We had some issues with water. And so
some issues.
Done,
Some issues.
architects, everyone, we are being really cautious isn't the word. We're doing some good mitigation to make sure that we don't have any water issues. And that has slowed the process down just a little bit because we want to make sure that we get the ground compacted. We're putting rock in the ground. It's essentially going to be, the foundation is set on what I like to call a bedrock. And so there's going to be no shift because it's rock, not just earth, which is what part of the problem was the last time. So you can see this is they poured some of the foundation. They're working on the different levels, and they've got some of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing started with the underground area and the lower level pad footings. So that is my presentation from a status. Are there any questions?
Well, I just have to ask about price of North Oak, given the delays related to the good things that are happening that need to be done. What's happening to the price?
So the guaranteed,
Is that already been established, and is that, and
so we've got the guaranteed maximum price. There may be some small additional cost for the mitigation, but we do have contingency. You can see it on the dashboard. So there might be, I'm not sure exactly what the amount is, but there is probably going to be something that I'm going to bring to your attention that we may have to pay a little bit extra. But I think it's worth it in the long run, because if we were just to build it like we did last time, I feel because of where the property is, because of where the land is, we would have shifting issues, and I don't want to have that issue. I took that into consideration when we went forward with this. To answer your question, I think that there might be a little bit of a extra cost, but it's not significant.
okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, just one other question. And it's related to Green Hills, and it's related to the fact that, as we all know, Proposition L wasn't just a capital project. It was also a project to make sure that we could have the appropriate personnel to operate these facilities. And that's no more true than it is. The most true that you would see that is at Green Hills, where, we're having to add staff there to operate the programs that are there. And the last time I heard anything about it, there were 2 employees of the ones that need to be hired in order to properly operate that. Where do we stand?
We have one more that we will need to hire in order to oversee all of that. And then they're working on best practices and software to help with kitchen rental, staffing, reservations and things like that. So it's coming, having it in an electronic form, be able to do all of that, and customers or those who want to use it, be able to reserve it themselves is going to go a long way. So that's coming. They're evaluating all of that now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the update?
I do have the video.
I'm always thrilled to see these. It just shows what's possible. And
Yeah.
Once again, I will pause here, commend our professional staff for pressing ahead and not easy times.
Do you want me to?
We're on to other. I asked Susan to play a video that was showed at the Legacy Luncheon. Frankly, I happened to be out of the room when it was played, so this is a self-indulgent request. But it was a review of the capital program. And I think it would be good for us to see. And then we plan to maybe show this also on August 2nd. So I know some of you might be seeing this for the second time and maybe the third time, but it's a reminder of what we have done. And I think it's good endeavor.
Okay, Cody, thank you.
Yes, just one moment. I need to share so everyone on Zoom can see it. All right, are we ready?
Yes.
So today we are having our rededication ceremony, celebrating the reopening of our branch that's been closed for about a year as we underwent this beautiful remodel, added 5,000 square feet, and it's so amazing to finally be back here. I think I'm most excited about our community room. It's huge, finally an enclosed space where people can be enthusiastic and loud if they need to be in the library. It's great for story time programs, community meetings. It's going to be wonderful. What I am really hopeful for is that, we can get together with our Colburn Road branch, our Eastleigh Summit branch, and, really be a great triangle of support for our community because, Lee Summit loves its libraries, so we needed 3. 2, 1.
It was a major upgrade for us because it just refreshed everything. It makes it brighter in here. It makes everything just easier to see and be a part of the community. So some of the best things that the customers come back and give us feedback are on the meeting rooms. They love having the versatility of using those for whatever their needs are. And then a lot of people are happy with our community room being completely enclosed now. So it keeps, when we have programs, it keeps the sound more isolated so it doesn't disturb anybody. A lot of people come in and use the computers to help them to access a computer to apply for a job or to take care of some things that they can't at home. So having an actual desk that they can use and spread their stuff out makes their life a lot easier. A lot of people come in and just are elated that we're open to provide the resources necessary for them, and just overall are happy to have a place they can come to beat the heat or get out of the cold and just have a place that's warm. For myself, I'm beyond happy to be a part of MCPL, be happy to be a part of this community and working towards making this a place that everyone wants to be.
So we're at the new auditorium at the Whitney Library Center, and we are just going to take a look around and see all the things we have to offer. So we've got a lot of features here, including a great lobby. You can see this moss wall behind me, which actually helps circulate the air. It is just a great focal piece when you visit us here. And there's also some great seating and lots of fun options. So we have a great auditorium. It's got 236 fixed seats in there, and the design for it was really creative. We were inspired by the natural landscape here in Missouri. So if you picture flying over the state in an airplane and you see all those different textures with the farmland and the water and the greenery, that's what inspired our auditorium here. We also have state-of-the-art technology from colored lighting, stage lighting, and some wonderful sound equipment and multiple screens and input options for all of your video and presentation needs. Then we also have an overflow space, which we can use in conjunction with the auditorium to give us more seating, or you can have a banquet in there, or maybe an appetizer cocktail hour, something like that before or after. And there's even a wall that can divide the auditorium and the overflow space so that it can give us some acoustical barriers, or we can keep that open if you want to have it all together. So we're really excited to get the community in here using the space. This gives us a lot of new opportunities so that we can expand the programs that the library offers, but we can also help the community host their own programs. This space will be available for rent by our community as well. So we have the opportunity to do a lot of different programs in this space, from author talks and author signings to performances, because we do have a great theatrical stage and theatrical quality equipment. And then also we can do conferences and really use the whole campus here at Woodneath to emphasize our needs. We've got trails outdoors, we've got the Story Center and the library branch, as well as a new amphitheater going in outside as well. So there's tons of options.
So today we're at the Green Hills Library Center, also home of the Culinary Center for Mid-Continent Public Library. Behind me is the new cafe that will be in Green Hills, operating here in the center. So since Green Hills is the home of the Mid-Continent Public Library Culinary Center, and we want to have an emphasis on programs and culinary programs for youth, we've got our story time room behind me, appropriately themed with the different fruit for the youngsters to hang out and have fun here.
I think what I'm looking forward to most about this branch is finally having the space to truly serve the community in the way that its needs have grown, because there would be times at Boardwalk where we'd have a program happening in the community space. We'd have a program happening out on the tables. We'd have all of our study tables filled with people who were either tutoring or doing homework or working, and then we'd have all of our computers being filled, people walking in and out of the building, and it just felt like sometimes you were kind of on top of each other. But now we have this huge facility, all this wonderful space, and finally people who kept asking me, hey, is there somewhere quiet I can work? We have that space now to offer, and it is so exciting to finally have it.
So at Green Hills, in addition to all of the services and materials that you love, we will also have the Culinary Center, whose focus is all about teaching people about food, through food, and helping out food businesses. Behind me is our teaching kitchen, where we will have all of the culinary programs, where we will bring in experts to share their knowledge and experience with our customers. So right now, I'm in one of our shared incubator kitchens. So this space will be rentable by small food businesses, so they can operate whatever type of food business that they want to, whether it is a food truck, whether it's a caterer, or you're manufacturing a food product. This space will meet all of the regulatory needs of your business, that you can get started in an affordable, flexible space. So one of the questions that I get a lot, and I really enjoy answering this question, is why a culinary center in a library? So we really, whenever we're starting something new, we want to look at what are the needs of our customers and what is our mission. And it's to enrich lives, to help provide access to information, innovation, inspiration. And we know that through culinary programs that the library is already offering, through the cookbooks and culinary material that is being borrowed, and through connecting with customers, we know that there's that need. So to me, the Culinary Center is like that missing ingredient to help accentuate all the things that the library does, and also help bring people into the libraries. So that's what I've got for this sneak peek. We are really excited to invite you over to Green Hills when we open this fall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's just a nice reminder of what we've been about. I have one other quick item, and then I'm going to ask other committee members. We thought we might have this on the agenda today, but staff needed more time. We want to bring before the building committee a landscaping plan for Woodneath. As a reminder, it's a 33-acre site. And so when our perennial question might, well, what about irrigation? Well, with 33 acres, it's a lot more than that because it's also a trail system. And just having a thoughtful plan and a thoughtful conversation about what an ongoing annual maintenance sort of approach and understanding how we sort of see the property, we thought would be a really sort of helpful conversation. So there's not a rush on that. And we wanted to provide sufficient information and give staff time to develop that. So that will be an agenda item at our September meeting. So any other business online? Any people who are online?
Only one, just this is John, and this is selfish. I have a.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I have I have another meeting that takes place at the same time this one does, and if there would be any possibility that we could consider changing the time, it would be very helpful to me.
We'll have staff check and see if there's any other Thursday other than this one, right?
Yeah.
So either a different Thursday or another day out of the week. We will do that.
Thank you.
I want to make sure people online went first.
Anybody, any questions or discussions or comments about matters or our meeting today? Michael, anything from you?
No.
Yummy, anything from you?
No, just takes me a second to get to the mute button. So no, it was great. Thank you.
And I think Michelle is Ron, anything you would want to share?
No, Brent, this is fine, thank you.
Okay. I think Michelle is off at this point, so, okay.
Well, I just want to take a moment and just reflect. I mean, this is usually your job, so I'm taking it for a moment, but I wanted to commend particularly Brent and Michael for your leadership. Yes, big kudos to staff too, but I wanted to also take a moment to commend Brent and Michael for keeping us on track, keeping us going. And as I reflect, save 3 projects that's remaining, we have moved ahead on the huge bulk of a huge multi-million-dollar project. And that is no small feat. We've gotten rid of our dormant properties that have been sitting and costing us these last few days that weren't selling. And we were able to take those and convert those into meaningful dollars to complete our capital projects plan. We have, at the end of it, we'll have only 1 rental property, and that's Red Bridge. Remaining of all the rest of our properties will be owned. And we've updated all our tech to current standards, so we won't have a lot of technical issues. And we're providing greater and better access to the internet for all of our people. We've created gathering spaces and new amenities in all of our branches that people have not only liked, but didn't know they wanted. Don't take it away. Take it away now. Yeah, and we've also evened out what was available across our systems, both space-wise and amenity-wise, service-wise, and providing meeting rooms and drive-up spaces and all that in all of our branches. And that in a mere 4 years. And I don't want us to lose sight of that And that's been a great achievement for both Michael and the rest of the building committee before I even joined. And to Jake and all the wonderful staff who have, and our partners who've helped us to do that both efficiently and within budget, given pandemic and escalating prices. So that's all.
Spring summer, that's a wonderful summary, and we should chunk that out because it's really encapsulates. I would extend that and sort of say it's the work of the board, it's the work of the staff, but also in some senses, and I've viewed this work this way, that we've honored our social contract to the voters who in November of 2016 provided us additional resources to undertake this sort of project. And so we're nearing completion. And so I'm anxious to see East Independence. I'm anxious to sort of, for us to sort of close the Riverside transaction, which was really the first project that we were asked to consider, and that was pre-proposition bill. Maybe the last one that we do, but we'll do it in a better fashion and in an impressive way. So any other comments from staff or anybody else? Take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second, Michael.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed?